Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Shelley Gregory at Shelley Gregory Hair on Instagram, and I'm here today on BTC to show you the new L'Oréal Professionnel game-changing technology, Metal Detox. And let me show you a fun technique with that. I'm going to show you transitional balayage, and what that is going in and changing your fully highlighted client into a balayage client. So I'm going to go in balayage and low light as I'm painting, and this is really great for a client that wants to transition from, who's been getting highlights for years and you want to add that depth back in. So let's get started, and make sure you guys leave lots of comments and questions because they are giving away one full set of Metal Detox, and once you hear exactly what it does, you're going to want this in your toolkit. So I'm going to start by parting her hairline out because that's what I paint last when I'm balayaging, because that's the thinnest part of your hair and the most delicate and usually the lightest already, so it needs the least amount of time with lightener on it. So I usually part about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. Drop that out. The more lightness you want around the face, the thinner of a section you should paint around her face, because you can saturate that more and get more of that pop. So before I started, I sprayed the Metal Detox in her hair, and it's just 4 to 6 sprays for this amount of hair. Her whole head would maybe take like 10 to 12 sprays. You don't have to saturate the hair, just get it pretty damp, and it sprays really liberally. It sprays a lot, okay? So I'm gonna clip this out of her face. I just like to use a bang clip so that it doesn't like bother my client having these pieces down, but it gets out of my way so I can keep all my sections really clean. For her formula today, I used the new L'Oréal Professionnel Clay Lightener, which is 7 levels of lift, and I love using clay lightener because it gives me that little extra insurance knowing that I'm not going to bleed onto my previous sections or have any cheetah spots. And I like to use a balayage board and just paint a really thin section of lightener on here. I'm using 40 volume today. And then take my brush and just paint little teeny highlights. Now, try to imagine that she's a fully highlighted client, and I'm going in and kind of connecting the dots. So wherever her old highlight is, I would balayage right to that highlight to match it up, so that it kind of looks like she got a foil, but it's going to be much softer. And if there is lightener down here, obviously you wouldn't want to overlap, but she has a little more depth, so I'm bringing it down further. And then I'm going to take another small brush and just dip into my little light, and I'm using L'Oréal Professionnel Dia Light 507 just to get out some of that brassiness and add some depth so you guys can see the difference. And you're just going to go in between each highlight and paint the low light. Now, it's not going to be like a normal low light where you're saturating it in. It's going to look really soft. But what it helps with is with the old highlights, blending them. So you get the perfect transition. So the new Metal Detox is a molecule that L'Oréal Professionnel invented called glycoamine. And glycoamine actually goes all the way down to the cortex and pulls out all the metals in there, and also on the surface. So it gets the metals off the surface like other treatments you may have seen, but it also goes all the way down to the cortex and pulls it out more. So that means 87% less breakage, life-changing. All these girls can have long hair and be blonde, and 100% color results, meaning you can mix it with any color line, any color formula. So you can mix it with lightener, you can mix it with a gloss, you can mix it with the retouch, meaning spray it on before and do the color over it. And you can use it with any color line, so it's universally can work with anything. So I sprayed that on before. It sits obviously while I'm painting her hair, and then all you have to do is use the shampoo and conditioner afterwards. So you're not adding any more time onto your process, which is huge. You don't have to adjust any of your formulations. You don't have to adjust your developer at all, but you can adjust your ticket. Because this is a treatment, you need to charge for that. So you can definitely earn a little bit more money by using this in your toolkit. And your clients are going to notice a huge change. There's metal in every kind of water now. If your client swims, if you take a shower, I hope everyone takes showers, then you are getting metal in your hair, which is so crazy. And I live in Las Vegas, so we have such bad water here. Not only is there so many minerals and dust in our water, but there's also a ton of metal. But everyone has metal in their water because it's in our pipes. Even if you have a water softener, there's old pipes in people's houses that are still putting out metal into the water. So I'm just moving up into horizontal sections, and then after each section I like to put a little piece of cotton to make sure it's not touching the previous section and getting color onto it. Just painting onto my balayage board. So this is L'Oréal Professional Clay Lightener, and it has 40 volume with it. Let me move her a little closer so you can see the detail of putting the low light in her hair, because it's actually a really cool, satisfying look. Make sure you guys ask a ton of questions. I'm going to try to get to them all in the comments after this, so I can make sure I answer them thoroughly. But also you can be entered to win an entire set of Metal Detox, which is this. Let me show you. There's the spray, which is the pre-treatment, and this is the professional. And then there's the shampoo, which you use in the salon, but also can be taken home with clients, and a mask as well. And there's also another conditioner that can be used in the salon. So about a 1-inch section. What I love about this technique is you can do this on someone that you need to do a retouch on, and just paint this right on with their retouch. You can do this on virgin hair if you just want to add depth and dimension while you're balayaging. So just painting the highlight like this. And again, I just wanted something to transition my highlight clients. I wanted something more low maintenance. Or maybe they're gonna travel, you're not gonna see them for a few months more than you normally would, and you need to buy some time in between their color, or they just want something softer. This is such a great transition for them to be able to balayage and then low light. And also what I love about it is you don't have to wait for your client to grow out their natural color. Normally, if a client is switching to balayage, then I usually tell them to wait like 3 to 6 months, then come in and we'll balayage you so their highlights are grown out. But with this, they don't have to. We can go right into balayage from, even an 8-week grow out. So just painting right in between each highlight to add depth with it. And you can bring that down as far as you want. I always like to keep a wet towel on my station too, to make sure all my tools stay really clean. I kind of wipe off my brushes almost every time I use it, but it just really helps when you see like little flyaways like this. Your brush isn't going to grab them and put color on them, because anywhere that color touches, it's going to have a reaction. So you need to make sure to keep it really clean, and then separate with cotton. And if this was a client that had naturally darker hair and I wanted a lot of lift, I would be putting the balayage plastic probably in between every couple sections as well, just to really incubate it and get the body heat going for maximum lift. And I did the other side of her head, so once I'm done with this, I'll flip her over and show you guys the finished results. So I never knew this, but one of the things that breaks hair when you're coloring it, or the major thing that breaks hair when you're coloring it, is the metals in the hair. And the reason you're getting unpredictable results when you're coloring is because the client has metal in their hair. They don't even know they have metal in their hair. We have no way to really know that either. We could do one of those treatments that have been out on the market previously, but they're only getting the top layer, which isn't solving the problem. But Metal Detox from L'Oréal Professionnel is actually going in down to the cortex and getting the metal out, and then making us look like the superstars, because the color is doing what we said it's going to do in the consultation, which is such a great feeling. I'm painting her all the way to her scalp, as you can see, because she is a highlight client. She's used to those highlights coming all the way to the scalp, and she's going to want to see that brightness probably for the first few times you balayage her, just to get her used to having a softer transition. So after you paint that, you're going to take your low light, just barely dip a little bit onto your brush and just slightly paint that on. And you can make these as thick or as thin as you want, depending on what their end desired result is. A lot of my clients are wanting a little bit more dimension, a little bit more 90s look. So that's why I'm doing such a different variants of color here with the L'Oréal Professionnel Clay Lightener and then the Light in level 507, which is natural ash, because she's a little warm, honey. But I also want you guys to be able to see the difference and how, even though they are such different colors, they're going to have dimension. It's going to be a soft dimension. And if you ever get some of the low light onto your highlight, don't freak out. Just take the edge of your brush, and I like to just sweep on top of that and wipe it off. And you're all good. I always just like to watch that as I'm working down the strand. So if you're just joining us, we are doing a balayage transition from highlights, and I used the new L'Oréal Professionnel Metal Detox in her treatment before to remove all those metals and make sure I'm getting my 100% color results. And then I'm painting on the L'Oréal Professionnel Clay Lightener with 40 volume and Light with 507 and 6 volume. But make sure you guys ask lots of questions, because I want someone to really win that kit of Metal Detox, because it's a game changer. So as I move up her head, once the sections start to get wider, I'm going to split them in half, which I'll show you in a minute. So make sure my brush is cleaned off. And I just, oh no! This is why we put extras. So I just take the smallest bead of color you can see, because then you have the most control of where you're placing the lightener. But using this clay lightener really helps you like stay in your lane, because it mixes so nice and creamy. I kind of like it the consistency of peanut butter. No looser and no thicker. It's like such a particular thing. Anyone out there that balayages knows that. Everyone has their certain consistency that they love. But I kind of like peanut butter, Greek yogurt mixed together, I would say. I just feel like I can really keep it smooth and make these perfect little lines when it's a little bit thicker. The clay lightener helps that too. So I'm just painting on the highlight, and then I'm going to go in between with the low light. Now you could also, after this, if she wanted even more depth and maybe even more grow out, let this all process, but then shadow her with the same color that you do with the low light, which will make the blonde pop a little bit more. So now I'm going in with the low light and just painting in between each highlight. I hope you guys can see that. But I'll also put a processing photo if that helps. You can see it close up and not in a video. I love me a processing photo. So I'll put a before and after and then a processing photo. Before, middle, and after. And then you're going to take a piece of cotton and just place that in between so the section above it isn't going to fall right on top. So now that her head is getting a little bit wider here, I'm going to split these into two subsections. And the reason I go horizontal up her head is because then you're going to get more of a pop when the hair lays down. If I was going to do diagonal sections, it would be a lot softer of a highlight low light, but I want this to really pop and her to notice a difference when she's rinsed. So I'm going to split these into two so I have more control. It's all about the tension. The fact that you can use the L'Oréal Professionnel Metal Detox and get 100% reliable color is such a relief, because there's so much technology out there that helps our clients in so many ways keep their hair healthy, but when you have to kind of start adjusting formulas and adjusting processing time and processing everything, then it starts to get overwhelming and sometimes we shut down. But the fact that you just spray this on right before you color, shampoo, condition like normal, I think everyone's going to be like finding how easy this is to use. And then the client can go home with a shampoo and a mask and keep up this treatment for 2 weeks. It's recommended to keep pulling the metal out and keeping the metal from getting in. Another amazing thing, since it's summer, is that the L'Oréal Professionnel Metal Detox has 93% UV protection. That's huge. In Vegas, the sun is shining about 360 days a year, and we always need sun protection. Even if we're just walking to our car, the sun is so strong. So to know that you just have to wash and condition your hair and you're getting sun protection is so awesome, especially when your hair is colored. Sun is one of the worst things for the color. A little bit of it got on the highlight, so I just go in there and sweep that off. And if you need to, if you feel like there's still too much of the low light on there, you can paint over it again. Because you wiped off that top layer with the other color on it, you can go back over it with your lightener. The thicker you're putting the lightener on, the more lift you're gonna get. To always remember that. So you want to make sure when you're going from root to end or root to middle, whatever, you're getting the same amount of product from there to there. Or else if I have less product up here, I'm going to have less lift up here. More product down here, I'm going to get more lift down here. Okay, moving on to this back section that I split into two. Make sure if you ended with a highlight on this section, you're not starting with the highlight right next to it. Go a little bit in, or you can even drop some hair out, because if you do that, you're going to get a huge, like, chunky piece that doesn't go with the rest of them right in the middle. What I've noticed about the metal detox, using it in the salon now for a couple months, is that my clients' hair not only is healthier and the color looks beautiful and flawless, but their hair is so shiny and bouncy. It's like it brings like life back into their hair. I think getting those metals out takes that brittleness out of it and takes that dullness out of it and just brings back this life to the hair like I've never seen. When I blow dry and curl their hair, just, I don't know, it looks like almost like their hair is virgin again. It's so nice for them to be able to see that reflection in their hair and that bounce in their hair. And they just want to like run their fingers through their hair, which is such a good feeling when you're doing their color. So I'm going to separate that with some cotton. And then this is the last section I'm going to take on the top. And I'm going to split that into two again. So I sprayed her metal detox on before. It air dried while I mixed her color. I'm coloring her, and then once she processes, which with this process I usually process about 30 to 45 minutes depending on how much lift you want. Then you're gonna go rinse and use the L'Oréal Professionnel Metal Detox shampoo and or the mask. I've also been doing the mask and conditioner. I've been doing doing the shampoo and then doing the mask after that. Doing the shampoo and then doing the conditioner, rinsing that, and then also doing the mask. Because I'm in Vegas, we need as much metal detoxing as we can get out here. It's such a challenge because my blondes leave the salon, their hair is this beautiful blonde, the perfect color, all the way root to end, level 10, shiny, and then they come back 2 or 3 months later and their ends look completely brassy and dull and they feel brittle. Well, the reason for that is all the metal in their hair. The metal from swimming, the metal from their shower water. So to be able to go in and control that and then send them home with something where they can keep that process going on is going to be such a life changer for me and my clients. I feel like I'm going to be able to get my blondes more blonde and keep my redheads bright, my brunettes shiny. I'm going to bring this one down to her ends because I want her front piece to really pop. And when you bring it down to the ends, you're going to put it on your balayage board, saturate the ends, and keep this on the board because you need that tension when you're doing the low light. If you let the hair kind of ribbon up and do things, your low light is going to start touching your highlight. So keep that hair on the board, keep even tension, and then go back in with your low light. And just paint in between. So you could even do this on a client that already is balayage but wants some depth in there, or maybe some caramely tones or some strawberry blonde tones. This would be so pretty. You guys have to tag me on Instagram if you do this technique. I really want to see it, even like in your stories and everything. I'm Shelley Gregory Hair on Instagram, and I will definitely check my DMs because I want to know what you guys think of this technique. It's a little different. So painting a thin layer on the balayage board. And this is my last section at the top of her hair, and then I'm going to do the face frame. And when you do a little bit of a chunkier piece like I did at the front here because I want hers to really pop, then as you go back you can kind of see I'm going a little bit thinner, a little bit thinner, a little bit thinner. That gives the softest sun-kissed look with still having a lot of brightness and dimension. But I'm still going to do the same amount of low lighting going all the way back. Make sure you guys are doing all the commenting And all the question asking, I will for sure get back in there on your comments and on your questions and answer. I'll type them all out because then you can have it saved or other people can also see the answers without having to watch the video if they don't want to, but watch the video. And then also you will be entered to win an entire set of the L'Oréal Professionnel Metal Detox, which literally just came out. So now I'm going in with the low light in between and just painting that down right next to the highlight. I'm going to cover that with cotton. And then we're going to do the most important part, the face frame. So this cotton is not reinforced, by the way. It's just like the one long strip that you get in the box. It's the best. So I'm gonna kind of shift her head back and move these highlights a little bit back and away to keep everything separated. You can even put another strip of cotton right behind that section so that as you pull this back to highlight, you're not gonna disrupt these highlights. Take out these clips. These are just bang clips that I use to keep it out of her face, but separated. And try to have the client hold their head back as much as they comfortably can, which they're usually more than happy to because they want that perfect face framing piece as well. And one of the ways that you can know how to hold the section of hair is ask them how they wear their ponytail. Do they wear it straight back, straight up, or do they do it just like straight down? Then I can kind of know where I want the blonde and the brightness and the dimension to be when I'm painting this. She likes to go straight back, so that's the way I'm going to paint it. If she was more of a top knot wearer, then I'd probably angle it more up. If she wore her ponytail more straight and back, then I'd probably just angle it more that direction too. But I feel like we all wear our hair in a ponytail like at least half the time, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it's such an important thing to know which way your client wears their hair. Because you know that's when they're going to be really staring at your work, is when they have their hair up and they look in the mirror to see. So on these front face framing creases, I'm not going to low light it. I want her to be as bright as possible in the front. It's summertime. So there's no need to add a low light up there. Unless someone is super bright and maybe they want to tone it down, then you could definitely add the low light in too, but I want as much impact with brightness that I can in the front. So holding it straight back and just doing the same thing, painting little highlights. And I even tap their skin kind of a little bit, so you're even getting like those little baby hairs that will go with it. And you can put a piece of cotton on afterwards so that it's not touching their skin while they're processing. Take this all the way down to the bottom of her ends and saturate her ends. So I want that nice bold face frame. When you saturate the ends, make sure you check both sides of the section so that it doesn't have a big smudge on the back part of it. Just let that lay down. top section. I'm doing this off her middle part because that's where she parts her hair. But I always ask my client when we're doing the consultation where she parts her hair. And that's where you want it to live when you're balayaging. So if she parted on the side, I would go off the side and balayage her hair. Because it's really, when you're balayaging, when you think about it, where the sun would hit her hair. So if she always parts her hair on the side, then that's where the sun would lighten it the most. If she always parts her hair in the middle, that's where the sun would lighten it the most. That's the easiest way for me to think of where I want my brightness. So after I'm done completely painting her, I would put a piece of plastic balayage wrap over her entire section. Make sure no air is really touching it, so even underneath I would have plastic so that the heat from her body and her scalp are helping process it. Since I live in Vegas, we have such freezing cold air conditioning here, so sometimes I do have to use a processor, and I'll just put that on low heat and have it oscillate around, because sometimes I'll come check on my client while they're processing, and if they're not under heat, their hair will literally feel like it's in the refrigerator because our AC is so good here. So I'm bringing this down all the way to the end to saturate so that she has a bright face framing. And then I'm going to show you guys the other side. So if you have any questions, hurry up and put them in the comments so I can get to them. I'm so glad you guys on your day off came and watched this, and thank you Behind the Chair for having me. It's so fun to be on your page always. And I can't wait for you guys to check out the new Metal Detox. Put that cotton underneath so it doesn't touch any of the previous sections. And then let's show you what she looks like after. So this is the finished result. I'll move that cotton so you can see a little better. But I'll post a picture of this too. You can see how soft and subtle the highlight and low light is. Even though I put a level 5 on a level 8 and next to a level 10, it doesn't look super chunky, but it gives that dimension. And then the face frame, you can see the difference there of how I placed it and then how it processes. It gives nice bold dimension, but it's soft when she pulls it back, and it's gonna grow out even softer. And you can see the pops where I brought it down to the end and brightened it up. All right, well, thank you guys for joining me today. And again, ask questions and comment everything you want to know about the L'Oréal Professionnel Metal Detox. It is going to change your life. And I'll see you again. Come find me on Instagram, Shelley Gregory here. Thank you.